going on, everybody? About to get started here. We got this awesome abalone blank from John David that we're gonna try and not blow up if we can help it. We got the vacuum going. We're gonna get the lathe going, and we're gonna try and not break this because it's really nice. What's going on, Michael? Francisco, ¿qué pasa? ¿Cómo estás? Christopher Stone, what's going on, man? Alright. I'm gonna start roughing this down. And I'm gonna start roughing with the Easy Wood Tools diamond carbide cutter. I don't sand off my corners when I get started like a lot of guys do. So I start with the diamond cutter because it's got a really small surface area, so it's not going to hopefully blow anything up. Niles, what's up, buddy? Alright, let's get started. I'll try, Francisco. Thanks, man. We're turning at 2670 RPMs, and we're gonna make it happen. Okay. Through the big heavy corners on that side, so I'm going to go ahead and knock down the big heavy corners on this one, and we'll switch to the circular carbide tool. John David, what's up, buddy? Just so y'all know, this is a John David Jones blank. He makes awesome stuff. Go buy some blanks from John David Jones. These are awesome. If I'm not mistaken, these are in polyester resin, and they make some beautiful stuff. John David is very tolerant of all of y'all's making fun of his shortness, and I am the same size as John David Jones. Just so you know. Team Short Guy, what up? Alright, we're going to switch over now to the round carbide cutter. See if we can take this stuff down and get it smoothed out. Christopher Stone, this is going to be on a Rhodium and Gold Junior errand. As long as it stays together until we get to put it together. down there with that section. Hey Kayla, this is an Easy Wood Tools carbide cutter, the circular one. Does a good job. The Easy Tools tool is really nice. I personally wouldn't pay the money for one. I would make your own. All you got to do is cut your groove in here. You can do that with a file. Drill and tap one hole, and then put it on something you can turn yourself. And you can have your whole carbide tool for 20 or 30 bucks. My father-in-law got me the 2 of these for Christmas 2 years ago. You just all practice, lots and lots of practice. The more you practice, the smoother it'll be. But nothing's gonna be perfect. You just gotta spend a lot of time with it. So this is where we're at, and that's the finish off that circle tool. It's not perfectly smooth or anything, but we're literally just roughing down the piece. So no big deal if it's not perfectly smooth yet. We're gonna smooth it out here. For my any kind of polyester resin or Alumilite or whatever hybrid blanks, I turn all of those down with my carbide cutters, and then I come over to this guy to, I don't know, 675 or so skew, and I smooth them out with the skew afterwards. So after that little bit of roughing and then some smoothing out with the skew, this is where we're sitting so far off the tool. So we got a little bit of smoothing out to do, but that was just, you know, just a quick little roughing and then a little bit of smoothing with the skew. So we're getting there. Not perfect yet, but we're working on it. Yeah, about middle of the way on the blank is where you want to be. If you're above, you're gonna be getting knocked backwards. If you're below, you're gonna be getting pulled in. So about middle of the blank is about the place you want to be hanging out at with your tools. And we're not horribly off-centered, so that's good. We still got a little bit of P-Town subby sitting right here on the surface. If you know me, you know I like to leave a little bit of curvature on my blanks. That's just how I roll. But I can only do so much because I gotta get past the awesome name of the P-Town subby. Thanks a lot for the Wissons for their awesome work making molds with P-Town Subby. They do great stuff. So everybody thank them because they make all these awesome blanks possible. Alright, I'm going to get a little bit more smoothing down here, get through these letters, and move on to the other section. Not quite through those letters yet, but we are just about there. And we're getting pretty smooth now. That's correct. Yes. Somebody told you almost the right thing. The tool you want midline, not the tool rest. If the tool rest is on the middle, yeah, you'll be sitting way above. Right idea, not quite the right execution. Going to be good enough for that one off the tool. This is what we're looking at for the off the tool finish. It never wants to focus right, but it's pretty dang smooth right off that skew, so we're not going to have to sand with a very aggressive grit. We can be pretty gentle with this when we go to sand it down. Alright, so this one's pretty well good and ready to sand. I'm going to move on to the back section here. Also, thanks for watching, everybody. I'm not going to do a CA finish on this one because this polyester resin doesn't require it. It shines up pretty dang well without it. If I've got a soft Alumilite that hasn't really cured very well yet, sometimes I'll do a CA finish over a solid acrylic blank. But for the most part, this material is kind of like an acrylic, or it's like cyanoacrylate. The acrylate part is the same kind of stuff as acrylic blanks. So really, it's like the whole thing is a big thick CA finish, basically. So you sand it down and smooth it out and buff it out just like a CA finish. Alright, so let's move on to the back section. And we'll get this thing finished out here. I polish it with micro mesh, and then I buff it with Hut Ultra Gloss plastic polish, and then I put it on a buffing wheel, and it'll be glassy smooth. But let's rough this guy down. still got a good little bit of P-Town subby we gotta clear off of there. We'll get her down. We're getting there. I might switch over to the skew here and smooth this down the rest of the way with that. Finish out this roughing and then we'll get it going. Beginning to get there. Still got some letters. We gotta get through those letters. I think maybe you can see them. P-Town subby. But we're on the way though. And we still got a pretty dang good finish. It's looking pretty good. But we definitely gotta get through those letters. Let's see. we're just about through it now. We're getting there. That's good. And we're just about down now to where we can get away with just sanding the rest of it down. Okie dokie. Let's move on. We'll do the rest with the sandpaper. We've got all of our shapes how we want them. We've got a pretty good finish off the tool. All looking very nice. Done relatively easily. Let's see here. Alright. So this is our finish right off the skew. It's pretty dang smooth at this point, just from the tool itself. And so now we're going to go ahead and start sanding on this. Over here, maybe you can see there's a little bit of writing still left on these. There it is. So we're gonna sand through that with the sandpaper, and we will get this thing finished out. Let's see here. I've got some sweet Abernet that they gave out at the Southeast Pin Turners Gathering. Southeast Pin Gathering? Turners Gathering? I don't know. Which was awesome. So I've been using that, and it's working very, very well. Start that off. So we're going to do the Abernet. We're going to start at the 240. We're going to try and sand through these letters here on the finish that we can still see. So we're going to get those out of the way, and then we're going to move on to some lighter grits and finish it out with those. Let's see here. Yep, I think this is going to be A-okay. Alright, so here we go. We'll leave it at the same speed. We're at 2670 RPMs. And let's smooth this thing out. That's got us pretty well through the letters. Go hit it one more time. Gently, lightly, nothing crazy. Keep it smooth, keep it moving. Alright. That's got us done with the 240. I'm going to hit this side to side when I'm done with the other side. And we are pretty good on the bushings back here. Always keep your sandpaper moving. Keep it from getting too hot. If you go slow, you're going to burn it. You don't want to burn it. Rather, if you go slowly back and forth and you put a lot of pressure on it, if you're maintaining these kinds of RPMs, if you slow the RPMs down, you can be a little more aggressive. But I prefer to do it this way. Just keep moving at a quick pace with your hands, and now generally straighten it out pretty much the way you want. You see your hand still. You're gonna burn it up. Keep moving quick. Alright, we're just about through those letters, not quite yet, so we're gonna keep going. That's going to be good enough for today on that front. And looks like we might be just a little bit off of center. I mean a tiny fraction off center with our bushings. So I might see if I can center this up a little tiny bit better. It's pretty dang good, but I'm going to give it the opportunity to be a little straighter. Hopefully we'll do that and we won't make it worse, but you never know. Alright, here we go. Let's try again, see if we can knock it out. You have to do the most sanding with your very first grit. If you don't get everything down where you need it to go with your first grit, you'll never get it finished out with the later grits, generally speaking, because they're all going to be a little bit too gentle to get through whatever it is you're trying to sort out. So get it to the smoothness and the consistency, the overall level that you want with your very first sanding grit, and then you go from there. I haven't usually been a proponent of the horizontal sanding, but I'm trying it. It's been working out really good lately. I'm having good results with it. So lately I've been doing this after rotational sanding, take it off, do some sanding this way as well. It's a good habit. We like good habits. Good habits lead to success and gorgeous work. And we like gorgeous work. We want it to stay that way. Okay, that's 240 done. We'll go quicker through these. It's going to be 320, then 400, then we'll get to some wet sanding and buffing and get this thing finished out. Braxton, what's going on, man? Welcome to the party. It's a party. I know sanding's not a whole lot of fun to watch. Sorry. Can't do much about it. Pull that off a little bit. There we go. It's looking pretty good. Once again, we're going to do some more horizontal sanding, see if we can smooth this thing out really, really nicely. finally done getting through all of our letters. That's good. We'll move on to the 400, and then we will switch over to wet sanding and buffing. Let's go. Go. Alright. Maintain our course of horizontal and vertical sanding. Make sure we don't end up with any scratches, because this is some really nice stuff, but we don't want to underwork it. We want to make sure it's done up properly and beautifully when we're finished with it. We don't want any scratches or anything like that. We want this stuff to look nice. Nice, nice. There we go. Okey doke. That's good for that. Alright. Jim Hines. What's going on, Jim? We're in here, man, trying to make it happen. So this is where we're sitting after 400 grit, dry. And now we're gonna move on to some wet sanding and buffing and see if we can make something pretty out of this. Alright. Patterson, what's up, buddy? So I'm gonna kill the vacuum system so it doesn't suck up my plastic bags that I keep my lathe bed safe with. We're going to run through some micro meshing grits pretty quickly and see if we can knock this thing out. I use the regular old Woodcraft micro meshing kits, and I think one of my pieces is missing, but they do a great job. And we'll go through that process. Just one second. Grab a cup of water here. I just use a little bucket of water, nothing special. And the regular micro meshing grits. There's not a whole lot of magical tricks to this, but the best thing I can tell you that I've found is I like to get both hands fully soaking wet. I like to take my left hand and feel the back of the blank as I go across with my micro mesh, and you can feel much better than you can see. You'll be able to feel when this particular pad stops making your piece any smoother. That way you'll know you're finished with that grit on that particular barrel. You move on to the next one. When you feel it stop making it more smooth, now you're ready to go to the next piece, and so on and so forth. So that's what I use for an indicator to let me know I'm done with the piece or I'm not done with the piece. I need to do a little bit more work on it. There we go. And these go pretty dang quick if you've done a good job with everything else. So if this is taking you a long time, you're doing too much. This should be a quick, easy process. The biggest thing is you want to finish up with a nice finish off the tool. If you get a nice tool finish, you can make a nice sanding finish. You can make it perfectly pretty with no extra work and not a lot of time. Alright. And as always, the very first grit is the one you're going to spend the most time with. As it's the one that you smooth out anything, any bumps, any lumps, anything you can feel, you get that knocked out with the very first micro meshing grit. Same way you do with the first sanding grit. And the rest of the grits after that are only for the purpose of removing the scratches from the previous grit. Alright, so that's done with 800. Now we can pretty quickly move through the rest of these, and it's all going to be hunky-dory. Like I said, you'll be able to feel when the grit you're on stops making it more smooth. You can quick jump to the next grit. You don't have to keep going with each one forever. Always keep it nice and wet. As soon as it starts to dry out, you're going to start to create heat. When you start to create heat, you start to hurt your finish. So keep it nice and moist the whole time. And if you notice, every time I finish with a grit, I'll take my hand and rub it across and get rid of all the dust from the previous grit. Like that. Every time. That way you're coming onto a clean surface with your next grit, and you won't get any of that dust making it feel like it's lumpier than it actually is. Good. Keep on moving. Alright, we're about halfway through the grits now. Gonna keep trucking. I'll stop it and let's take a look at it when I get through the last of these. Again, this is an awesome John David Jones Abalone shell blank, a dark blue. It's going to go on a Rhodium and gold junior Aaron kit that I got at the Southeast Pin Gathering, which was amazing. If you didn't go, you should come next year. It's fantastic. But couldn't resist picking one of these guys up. It's too pretty. It's too pretty not to get one. You had to. Absolutely had to. So many thanks to John David Jones for making these, and for putting up with the short jokes, and for not stabbing anybody due to the short jokes. I understand, because we're the same size, and I would have probably stabbed somebody. But I do want a David Troutman stool with my name on it. I would like that very much. Okie doke, here we go. We're getting down. This is the last grit. These go to 12,000, but I think this particular set, I've lost my final grit, so maybe this is 11,000 or something, I don't know. It's one previous to the final smoothest grit they have for micro meshing, because I lost the last one. Yes, Earl, I am wet sanding. Alright. Okie doke, so here is where we are after the micro mesh up to, I don't know, what is it, 11,000 probably. So we're pretty smooth, pretty shiny. But we got a nice little ways yet to go to make it as shiny as it deserves to be. And if you're only micro meshing and you're not using any kind of polish, what you're going for is a very shiny, smooth finish, you're shooting yourself in the foot to not use some sort of polish, either Meguiar's or plastics, something like that. I use the Hut Ultra Gloss plastic polish for mine. It's cheap. It's like $10.99 for this bottle right here, 8 ounces worth, and it'll last, I don't know, 200 pins or something like that. So it's good stuff. Yeah. That's no big deal. Alright. Here we go. We're gonna go ahead and hit this with some polishing compound, and we're gonna make it pretty. When you put on your rubbing compound, keep it moist. Don't let it dry out. As soon as you let it get dry, you start to build up heat. When you start to build up heat, you start to burn your finish. When you burn your finish, you gotta start over. So always keep it nice and moist. That way when it's done, it'll look as good as you want it to. And you won't kill it over not doing something simple like that. Here, you'll see that was what, 15 seconds worth of polishing, something like that. And we'll see the difference in a second. Alright, so here after 15 seconds of polishing, hopefully you can see how much shinier that finish is with just a little tiny bit of effort in one little bottle. And that's still not nearly where we're headed, but we're going the right direction for this. Kayla, the benefit of doing a CA finish, there is no benefit on a solid acrylic piece like this, or polyester resin, or Alumilite, or whatever you want to call it. Coats are going... How many coats are you going to put on? Polish. I'm going to polish it 3 or 4 times probably, Earl. But Kayla, there's no necessity whatsoever if you've got a solid acrylic blank in putting a CA finish on at all. It doesn't help because a CA finish is basically coating whatever you're working on with an acrylic, layer. So the benefit to a CA finish is strictly for when you're using, I use it on hybrids, and I use it on any kind of wood piece, anything that won't polish up on its own because it's not made of a plastic. You basically, when you do a CA finish, you basically make a plastic coating around the whole thing, and then you polish that plastic coating. Well, these are already a fully plastic piece, so it's basically like a CA finish from the surface all the way into the middle of the blank. So that's what the real point of a CA finish is. It's like you basically turn it into an acrylic blank. Yep. Alright, so I'm going to do another 1 or 2 rounds of polishing here. And that is looking pretty dang good already, but we want it to look absolutely perfect. So we're going to keep on rolling with it. We're going to make it without flaw, because this is a really nice kit and a really nice blank, and it deserves to be as good as it can be. No problem, Kayla, anytime. I know the finish game can be confusing, and everybody gives you a different answer. Again, we're keeping it moist, keeping even pressure, not too much pressure. You can feel with your finger behind the rag if you start to build up heat. If you build up heat, lay off. You don't want to burn your finish. But you're not really going to burn a fully acrylic blank, probably, just because it's not really going to work like that. You might melt it a little bit, but you're not going to burn it. But you can burn through a solid CA finish. And if you burn through a CA finish, you got to start over. And starting over on a CA finish sucks. So just be careful with that. Always keep it moist. Always keep it moving. Alright. That's starting to look pretty good. I'm going to hit it one more time with a clean rag, clean cloth here, and smooth it out a little bit more. And then once I get done with this, I'm going to take it off and put the buffing wheels on here and do a little bit of buffing with the buffing compound. So one more round of polish first. Yep. Alrighty, so there we go. Let's see. The CA finish on wood or hybrid you sand first, then wet sand in 12,000. On wood or hybrid, do you sand first? No, you do not want to wet sand an open wood surface at all. Dry sand your wood and hybrid blanks. I usually dry sand mine to 800 grit and then start applying my CA finish. You don't want to put water on open wood because it'll destroy the grain, it'll never dry out, and then you'll have to probably trash the blank. And so certainly, especially if you're doing a nice expensive hybrid blank, you don't want to get any water on the wood part before it is sealed with the CA. Yep. Definitely keep your wood dry. If you're going to moisten your wood with anything, I know sometimes you got to clean out some dust and stuff before you go to putting on your CA finish. Only use denatured alcohol. Denatured alcohol is like anti-water, basically. It pretty much causes water to evaporate really, really quickly. And it itself evaporates really, really quickly. So it doesn't get the grain of the wood wet like water does. So if you got dust in a finish and you need to clear that out before you put on your CA, definitely use denatured alcohol as the only way that you get moisture on an unfinished piece of wood. Otherwise, you'll be starting over. Okie doke. So that's good. No problem, Tom. Alright, so this is now pretty dang smooth. Pretty shiny. We're getting to where we're looking to get to, but we want to do a little bit further because this is going to be an awesome, gorgeous pen when it's finished out. So we are going to take this off here. We're going to throw the buffing wheels onto the lathe, and we'll get this thing perfectly finished out. Use micro mesh and then put the Pins Plus finish on it. Is it ruined? No, Pins Plus is fine. Pins Plus is made to go onto a wood that's unfinished. If you use micro mesh and wet sanded it, you know, that wouldn't be a great method. If I were you, I would, even if you're gonna micro mesh it to something really smooth, I would only micro mesh to, I would only dry micro mesh. You just don't want to put water on it if you can help it. It's going to get in the wood, it's going to warp, it's going to make it jacked up. That's why people spend so long drying out wood before they say it's ready to use. Because any moisture in the wood is going to make the wood warp and get out of whack, and it's never going to have, like, it'll be as smooth as you made it, for a little while. But when it starts to dry out, the wood's going to warp some, and it's likely to crack or come off of your blank or off your barrels or something like that. So definitely having dry wood is the ticket. They spend a lot of time drying that wood before they sell it to you, because if it's not perfectly dry when they sell it to you, it's likely to blow up. Well, I would hold, though, if they're for sale, I would hold on to them for a month or two or something like that before letting them go to the customer. Because if they were to happen to blow up, you don't want that to happen after you've already handed it to the customer. So keep those in hand, and if they end up okay and they're good for a couple of months and you find that they're, you know, not having any issues, great, no problems. Just take them and sell them as you will. But definitely, if you just done it, be really careful with that. I wouldn't sell them to anybody just yet. I would hold on to those and just wait for a while. They might be fine. You might get lucky. Nothing bad happens. Great. But I wouldn't hold my breath on the deal, and just let that be a lesson for the future. In the future, no water on any unfinished wood. That is not your friend. It is dangerous. And even if it doesn't blow up right away, you stand a good chance when that water seeps out of there, that wood warping, pulling off, and becoming trouble for you. So anyways, I'll shut up about that now. But, yep. If you want to moisten wood at all, either use denatured alcohol or put oil on it. Oil is cool because it doesn't make the wood do anything crazy. Give me just a minute. Pardon my arms. Let me put this buffing wheel on here. Getting over a little bit of a cold, so I sound like a hamster or something. Sorry. Alright. So, I do all my pins from start to finish at 2670 RPMs, which, Kayla, is the next to last speed on yours. And then for buffing is the only time I slow it down, just because I don't want to sling the buffing wheels off of here. I slow them down one click, which is 1810 on yours and my Riken. Alright, I'm going to throw a little bit more rouge on this wheel before we get going. I use the blue, where are you? The blue rouge on my buffing wheels. It's called, here we go, APBS-BR Buffing Rouge. I don't know where it's from. It's my father-in-law's. He's got it sitting here, so that's what I use. No particular reason I'm using it, but it does a good job, so I'll take it. Throw a little on there. Once you can see the color, that's what I found, it's good to go. Once you can see the color of the rouge. Put too much on there, it'll start coming off onto your pin. If it comes off onto your pin, it sucks to get off. So, careful with that. These are our two blanks here. They're looking pretty good, but we're going to make them look even better with our buffing wheels. And let's see how that goes. I'm no buffing wheel expert, but I can make my stuff look pretty dang good, and I would say there's not much to really worry about. Just make sure you don't let the wheel grab and knock your stuff to the ground. Thanks, Earl. I like to put my finger underneath the blank when I'm rotating it, so kind of like that, and there's the bottom side, so that I got something holding it up in the air so it doesn't yank it out of my hand and throw it on the ground, because that would suck. You don't want to throw a finished out $40 blank on the ground and then have to buy another one and wait for shipping and do all that jazz. That's no fun. And we like for this to be fun. When it's fun, it's awesome. And when it's awesome, it's fun. So there we go. Alrighty, we are looking pretty dang good. We got some solid smoothness going on here. Make sure you get your end pieces nice and smooth. You want everything to look like it's glass. You don't want any blemishes on a nice, gorgeous blank like this. You want everything to look perfectly perfect. That way, the customer is happy with paying them what you charge them. Alrighty. So, hopefully now you can see we are down to, I mean, just glass smooth. You can't see any scratches, no circles, no nothing. That's the goal. And that's why we take a little bit of extra time being nice and smooth and perfectionistical on our finished parts, because we want to make sure everything is as perfectly smooth as we can get it. That's not a bad idea, Paul. Thanks. No, this will never lose its polish. It's going to be just like this. I mean, you know, maybe in 5 years of hard handling use, which this probably won't get because it's going to mostly be on a shelf, I'm guessing. But no, it'll never naturally lose its shine at all. I've got pens with CA finishes on them, 3 and 4 years, that I keep in my pocket in the machine shop, and they still are just as shiny as the day I took them off the lathe. So any kind of good quality plastic that's finished out nicely, or CA finish that's done a good job on, that's got enough thickness to be durable, you're not going to have any problems with losing the shine on it. Nope. Always check your ends of your blanks really good for any kind of scratching or any cloudiness or anything like that. Oftentimes on these end corners of your blanks, when you're hitting them with your very last round on the tool, sometimes you'll rub it a little bit too hard right there, or it'll catch a little bit. And it'll make a not smooth finish to work with, just on the very tips. So make sure you take special attention, special care when you're finishing out the very last little bit here. Just ensure that you don't have any ugly spots on your very ends of your blanks. You want all of it to look as good as the middle does. Don't let just your middle be pretty and then it looks ugly on the ends. Don't worry about it, Kayla. If anything happens to it, just say, "Hey, I learned a new thing. I've progressed as an artist. If anything happens to the pen, you give them 100% replacement warranty. If you made a mistake and something bad happens and it warps and it doesn't work right, you just tell them you'll make them a new one. No problem. If you've got a few bucks in the pen, no problem. Eat the cost. Be nice about it. Be, polite. Be honest if you made a mistake or if you had something you hadn't learned yet. Just say, I made a mistake and I've learned from it. And, I got some knowledge that I've gained now. I can make you a better version. Make it for them for free. Be helpful. Be accommodating. And just give them the new pen. It's no problem. If you do that and if you just be honest and tell them straight up what happened and if anything bad happens, as long as you're honest, they're a lot more likely to be okay with it. If you try to go, well, so-and-so told me the wrong thing and blah, 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 you could have an issue. But most customers would rather you just tell them the truth and say, well, I didn't realize this situation, and now I know better, so I can make you a better product this time, and I won't charge you anything for it, and I won't charge you any shipping for it, and I won't charge you shipping to return it to me, as if I can help it, I know that the error was on my part, so I'm going to eat all the cost involved. And they'll probably be a better customer for that in the future, and they'll probably keep buying stuff from you. There's no way to say yay or nay if the wood won't warp or whatever. You never know. It could be fine. It could last 20 years with no issues. And then, so here is our second section here. It is finished out nice and pristine for us. So now we're going to head over to the drill press and put this baby together. Yay! Give me just 1 second. I'm going to pull all this stuff over here. And I'll bring you guys along in just a moment. Thanks, Becky. Oh, alright, we are walking y'all over to the drill press / pin press, because that's what I use. Works great for pressing your pins together. I don't have an $80 pin press because I don't think that's necessary to buy. A lot of people come on and ask, what's the best pin press to get? Whose company makes the best one? And to me, I think it's mostly a waste of money. Maybe if you're doing this as your whole job and it's, you got to do a whole lot of production, maybe you need a pin press. But for the most part, if you're like the majority of people, you're just doing this for a hobby. Say hello to my back, sorry. Just a sec. We're dropping it down. I've got this piece of lovely threaded rod with a little plastic foot on it to keep from marring up my pin kits. And that has worked perfectly well for several hundred pins. No problem. Cost less than $1. I don't see the necessity in spending a whole bunch of extra money on something like that. So I don't. This works perfectly well. So let's see how it all comes together. Again, this is a Junior Aaron Rhodium and Gold roller ball. And if all goes well, I won't destroy it. And it'll turn out lovely. Hopefully that'll be the case. So let's try that on for size, shall we? Alright. It's on there. How many pins have I made? I have no idea how many pins I've made. Several hundred, I think. I don't think I'm probably in the thousands yet. But a few hundred. I'm not anything special. I haven't been doing this as long as a lot of other guys have been doing it. I've tried to minimize my mistakes as much as humanly possible. And I've tried to learn from as many people as I could find. I've been doing it for about 2.5, coming up on 3 years maybe. But like I said, I try to learn as fast as I can. And I try to do the best job that I can. When you get these junior kits or continental kits from Woodcraft or Cogent kits from Woodcraft, the majority of these double barrel screw cap pins, rollerball and fountain, are going to have 2 different sizes in the back and the front of the blank. They're going to be wider up here and they're going to be skinnier back here on the back end. Make sure, especially on one like this, where you can't tell a lot of difference in the grain or anything like that, it looks pretty much uniform most of the way through. Be very, very careful to make sure that you put the correct size on the correct portion it goes on, because once you put the wrong side on and the diameters don't match up, there is no going back and you are a sad, sad cookie. You do not want to be a sad cookie when you're putting together a $40 pin blank. It is no fun to do that wrong. So just be careful with that. If you got to get a set of calipers and measure so you know for sure that you've got it put together right, get the set of calipers. It'll be worth it. Calipers are not expensive for that kind of assurance that you're not going to screw something up that severely. Also with a lot of these, what's the biggest frustration or hurdle you've seen with doing pins? Biggest frustration is pretty much universal across the board. Everybody has a hard time with CA finishes. Most people don't want to spend the time that it takes to make a really perfect CA finish. And or most people don't know about simple stuff like polishing. And polishing a pin goes a long, long, long way to make it look professional. And some people just think, you know, I don't need to polish it. It's good after the micromeshing steps. And, you know, that's a thing you can think. But for as little effort and knowledge and skill as is required, I don't see any reason why you wouldn't want to make it as good as you can. Alright, so we got that there. Let's finish this guy out. Always nerve-wracking to put one of these together. You don't want to break something like this. So, how much do you sell those for? Well, I haven't told the customer the price yet, so I'll tell you tomorrow. But, you know, it's not my life's work or anything. I don't think I'm overcharging anybody. But for reference, it's a $40 blank and a $40 pin kit. So, you know, it's got to be at least able to match that cost. If you can't match the cost that you bought the parts for, you're going to be in trouble. And some guys are in here and they're just trying to hang out and have fun and turn pins, and they don't care about making a profit, you know, and that's respectable. They just want to turn some stuff and have a good time and, you know, be nice to people and do whatever. And I'm all for being nice to everybody and everybody getting a fair shake. But, you know, I'm not made of money. I'm not retired at all. I'm 29 years old. And I'm, you know, I'm working hard at the craft to make it as good as humanly possible. So I would like to make a profit if I can help it, at least a little bit, at least enough to keep my wife off my ass, like most of us. So, but I think I sell my pins for a reasonable amount, for as nice as I try to make them along the way. These ones are a little finicky. I haven't put together an abalone shell pen before, so I'm looking at, you know, all the different things I need to look at here. And these are, they're like a bunch of little thin, maybe 1/8 inch wide sections on here. So you want to at least, I don't think you're going to be able to tell the actual grain of the abalone from when it's finished out, but I think the goal here would certainly at least be to try and line up the lines that they're made out of as best as you can. It looks like there's maybe a little bit wider, a little bit larger of a slice per section on the cap than the bottom, so it's not going to line up 100% perfect, but if you can try to at least get one line lined up, I think that's probably about as good as you're going to do of perfecting the lining up process on the way these things look like they're sitting. So I'm going to raise this up a smidge. Alright, push this guy down here. It is to be noted that these big, gorgeous double barrel kits and that sort of thing, these kits do not require a lot of pressure from your press. You can be very, very gentle and get them pressed all the way in. If you're too aggressive with it, you run a strong chance of blowing up your blank or cracking something that's involved. There's a plastic insert inside of a lot of these kits where the cap screws on. These caps are not, most of these are soft material. They're not really, really rigid, strong material. So be careful not to press too hard or you'll crack that inner section and you'll have a terrible time getting that sorted out. So just be cautious with that. You can be pretty gentle pressing these kits together. Yep, I'm right there with you, Kayla. Like I said, you know, I'm not trying to hoodoo anybody or whatever you want to call it. I'm not trying to do anybody wrong, but I'm working hard to make the kits and the pins as nice as humanly possible as I can do with my skills. So, you know, I feel like that's worth some level of profit. I think that's definitely a huge art to this. And if you're going to be an artist and you're not going to be a horrendously struggling artist, you got to be able to sell your work for what it's worth. So, like I said, don't be overly aggressive putting these kits together. You don't want to bust up a really nice pen kit or a really expensive blank like we have here. Because if you do, you're going to cry. And when you cry, no one's going to be able to help you with it. Because you're still going to have to buy a new kit or a new blank. And it's going to be very sad. We don't want to be sad. We want to be happy and successful. This is a Schmidt refill. Schmidt safety rollerball. I think it's what this is called. Again, this is a Junior Aaron rollerball kit that we have here. John David Jones. Let me see. Well, I'm not going to unplug it because I know if I unplug it, it'll blow up or it'll turn off. But let me see if I can get to where. Give me just a minute. I'm going to lay it upside down. Say hello to the ceiling. The ceiling is gorgeous. I'm not leaving you. Hang on just a second. Sorry. I got to see if I can clean this up so John David is not embarrassed at my terrible handiwork. Alright. There you go, John David. So that's where we are. Finished out with our lovely Junior Aaron Rhodium and gold rollerball on a phenomenal John David Jones Deep Blue Abalone Shell Blank. This is one of my favorite pins I've ever done. Really excited. Never turned an abalone pin at all. Very excited about it. So hopefully the customer will be as pleased as I am pleased with it. What's going on, Jason? Thanks for stopping by. Alright, so I think we're pretty well finished out here. I'm going to shut this down and I'm going to give it one more buff with the buffing wheel, and I'll take some pictures and post them up. But thanks so much everybody for coming and hanging out. Yeah, John, it's sold. It was sold when I bought it off your table, man. So thank you for having it available so I could buy it from you. And now I gotta buy one for myself because I want one of these for me. Because this dang thing is awesome. How much for you? Well, you made it. I should probably just send it back to you for free. Yep. Alright, everybody. You have one more? Oh, snap. Yeah. We'll have some more blue. Perfect. Good. Well, I will hit you up, John, because I want some more of this. Like I said, I haven't told the customer what the price was yet, so I'll have to let you know at a later date how much it went for. But like I said, it's a $40 blank and a $40 kit, so it's not going to be free. I'm not going to gouge anybody, but I'm really happy with this pen. See if you can see there you go. It's got the leaf on top and the lovely. I was thinking in that range, John. Something like that, yep. Cool. Alright, everybody. Thanks a lot. We'll see you guys later. Y'all have a good night.